The Galactic Council laughed when humanity asked for a seat among the stars. They called humans primitive, emotional, and too weak to survive beyond their own solar system. They had no idea that within 30 days, those same civilizations would watch entire star fleets burn, and history would remember the day Earth declared war. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council stretched across nearly 5 kilometers, carved from shimmering white crystal that reflected the light of 1,000 stars. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations filled the chamber. Towering warriors from volcanic worlds stood beside graceful beings made of living light, while insectoid diplomats whispered through clicking mandibles. At the center of the hall stood one man, Ambassador Daniel Carter. He wore a simple dark blue uniform with the silver emblem of Earth on his chest. Compared to the magnificent armor and glowing robes surrounding him, he looked ordinary. That was exactly why they laughed. The chairman of the council leaned forward, his 4 glowing eyes fixed on the human ambassador. So, this is humanity? A wave of laughter rolled across the chamber. Another delegate stood. Your species has existed for only a brief moment in galactic history. Another voice echoed. You still fight wars on your own planet. Someone else added. You have no Dyson sphere, no stellar engineering, no quantum gateways. The laughter grew louder. Daniel remained silent. He had been warned this would happen. For decades, humanity had sent peaceful missions into deep space, hoping to join the Galactic Council. Every request had been rejected, not because humans were dangerous, because they were considered insignificant. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed Earth statistics, population, military power, economic strength, technology. Every number looked tiny compared to the ancient empires surrounding them. The council members laughed again. One massive alien commander stepped forward. If humanity disappeared tomorrow, he said, the galaxy wouldn't even notice. The chamber erupted. Daniel slowly looked around the room. Hundreds of civilizations, hundreds of smiling faces. None of them realized what humanity had hidden. For more than 50 years, Earth had secretly stopped competing with other civilizations. Instead, it had been preparing. Hidden shipyards floated behind the dark side of distant moons. Artificial intelligence managed factories buried beneath mountains. Experimental engines capable of crossing entire galaxies had already been tested. The greatest military fleet in human history existed, and not a single alien intelligence knew it. Daniel smiled, not because he enjoyed the insults, because he already knew something they didn't. Across the solar system, every fleet commander had received the same classified message only minutes earlier. Condition black. Prepare all forces. Await final authorization. Far above Earth, millions of silent warships drifted in complete darkness. No lights, no radio signals, no movement. Waiting. The council continued laughing. Daniel pressed a small communicator hidden beneath his sleeve. One sentence appeared on the screen. Diplomacy has failed. He looked at the council one last time. You think humanity came here asking for permission? His calm voice echoed through the chamber. You are wrong. The laughter slowly faded. We came here. Daniel paused. To give you one final chance. The chamber fell silent. No one understood what he meant. No one noticed that, at that exact moment, Earth's hidden fleets had already begun moving toward the borders of known space. And in less than 24 hours, the galaxy would discover the greatest mistake it had ever made. The silence inside the Galactic Council chamber lasted only a few seconds. Then the laughter returned, louder than before. Council Chairman Vorke leaned back in his crystalline throne, his glowing eyes fixed on Ambassador Daniel Carter. You expect us to fear a species that has barely stepped beyond its own star? Several delegates applauded. Others activated holographic displays, showing humanity's recorded military history, primitive aircraft, chemical rockets, conventional warships. Everything the galaxy knew about Earth was decades out of date. Daniel looked around the chamber one last time. Every civilization believed they understood humanity. That belief would destroy them. Without another word, he turned his back on the council. Gasps echoed through the hall. No ambassador had ever walked away before receiving permission. The The massive bronze doors opened automatically. As Daniel stepped outside, his communicator vibrated. Encrypted transmission received. He activated it immediately. General Amelia Hayes appeared as a hologram. Her face remained calm. The fleets are in position. Daniel nodded. What about the ARC stations? Operational. The lunar shipyards? All battle groups launched. The Titans? A brief silence followed. They're awake. Daniel smiled for the first time. For 50 years, humanity had hidden its greatest achievement. Not one fleet, not one superweapon, but 12 enormous fortress ships known only as the Titans. Each one was larger than a moon. Each carried enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. No alien intelligence had ever detected them. Back inside the council, the delegates continued laughing. They believed the human ambassador had surrendered. Chairman Vorike raised his hand. Record today's session. Another delegate laughed. Future generations should remember the day humanity begged for acceptance. Suddenly, every holographic screen inside the council chamber flickered. A warning symbol appeared. Unknown signal detected. The room became silent. Another message replaced it. Source identified. Planet Earth. The chairman frowned. What is this? Then the transmission filled every screen. Daniel Carter appeared again. But this time, he wasn't standing inside the council. He stood aboard the bridge of humanity's largest flagship. Behind him stretched hundreds of officers wearing black naval uniforms. Gigantic holographic star maps filled the room. Daniel spoke with complete confidence. For 83 years, humanity sought peace. We requested cooperation. We offered trade. We shared knowledge. You answered with mockery. The council watched without speaking. You believed humanity was weak because we chose peace. His eyes hardened. You confused kindness with weakness. The star map behind him changed. Thousands of bright blue lights suddenly appeared, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. Entire regions of the galaxy became illuminated. Alien delegates stared in disbelief. Fleet markers. Human fleet markers. Millions of them. Impossible. The chairman whispered, "No." Daniel continued, "Today, the United Earth government formally ends all diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council." Another pause. Then came the sentence that would be remembered for centuries. Effective immediately, Earth declares war. Across the galaxy, hidden human fleets emerged from deep space. Massive battleships powered up ancient fusion suns. Carrier groups launched millions of autonomous fighters. The 12 Titans activated simultaneously. Entire sectors detected gravitational disturbances unlike anything ever recorded. Panic spread across military command centers. Emergency alarms echoed from one star system to another. The impossible had become reality. Humanity had never been weak. Humanity had simply been preparing. And now, the waiting was over. The moment Earth's declaration of war echoed across the galaxy, every major civilization went into emergency lockdown. Red warning lights flashed across thousands of military command centers. Space stations sealed their docking bays. Planetary defense systems powered on. The Galactic Council had expected fear. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by an enemy they had never truly understood. On Earth, 300 meters beneath the Himalayan mountains, a massive titanium door slowly opened. Behind it lay the most heavily protected room ever built by humanity, known only as the Genesis Chamber. Inside, leaders from every nation stood around a glowing holographic table. There were no flags, no political symbols, no arguments. Only one emblem floated above the table. A silver Earth surrounded by 12 stars. For the first time in history, humanity stood completely united. General Amelia Hayes entered the chamber. The declaration has been transmitted. No one spoke. Then President Elias Morgan looked around the room. After 83 years, our time has finally come. The holographic map changed. Thousands of hidden military bases appeared across the solar system. Mars, Europa, Titan, the dark side of the moon, even Pluto. Every location contained secret shipyards that had remained invisible for decades. Many leaders seeing the complete map for the first time couldn't hide their shock. One prime minister whispered, "We built all this without the galaxy noticing." General Hayes nodded, exactly as planned. 80 years earlier, human scientists had reached one terrifying conclusion. The galaxy wasn't peaceful. It was ruled by fear. Any civilization that became too powerful was crushed before it could rise. Humanity understood something the aliens never expected. If Earth openly developed advanced technology, the Galactic Council would destroy them. So humanity chose another path. Disappear, hide, prepare. Factories were buried beneath mountains. Shipyards were constructed inside hollowed asteroids. Artificial intelligence managed production 24 hours a day. Every satellite in orbit acted as both communication relay and military sensor. While the galaxy laughed, humanity quietly became stronger. Every single day, back inside the Genesis chamber, an officer rushed toward General Hayes. "Admiral Kane is requesting authorization." She looked at the president. "It's time." President Morgan slowly placed his hand on the holographic Earth. "Authorize Operation Iron Dawn." A calm electronic voice filled the chamber. Authorization confirmed. Across the solar system, millions of lights suddenly came alive. Massive underground hangars opened. Warships rose from beneath deserts. Carrier fleets emerged from oceans. Hidden orbital stations activated powerful shield generators. On Mars, gigantic magnetic rail cannons rotated toward deep space. Near Saturn, entire fleets powered their engines for the first time. The darkness around Pluto disappeared as one of the legendary Titan-class fortress ships slowly emerged from the shadows. It was nearly the size of a moon. Its armor reflected nothing. Its engines glowed with deep blue energy. Captain Marcus Vale stood on its bridge, all systems operational. An officer looked at him nervously. "Sir, destination?" Marcus smiled. "The galactic frontier." Meanwhile, inside the Galactic Council, panic had replaced arrogance. Military analysts studied the incoming reports. Human fleets detected in Sector 12. Unknown superweapon entering Orion Corridor. Communication lost with 3 border outposts. Chairman Borquet slammed his fist onto the crystal table. "This is impossible." A scientist answered with trembling hands. "We believed humans possessed only a few thousand warships." He swallowed. "Our latest scans estimate over 3 million combat vessels." Silence filled the chamber. One elderly delegate whispered, "What have we done?" Far beyond the council's borders, human fleets continued moving through hyperspace. No speeches, no celebrations, only discipline, only purpose. For 83 years, humanity had waited in silence. Now, the stars themselves would witness the consequences of underestimating Earth. A cold silence spread across the bridge of the Titan-class fortress ship Valiant as millions of stars drifted across the massive observation window. Every officer stood at attention, waiting for a single command. Captain Marcus Vale slowly stepped toward the command platform. "Status report." A young officer replied immediately. "All 12 battle fleets have exited hyperspace." Another officer added, "Enemy border fortress Omega is directly ahead." The holographic display zoomed in. Fortress Omega was one of the Galactic Council's strongest military bases. It floated between 2 star systems, protected by thousands of defense satellites, plasma cannons, and nearly 50,000 warships. For over 400 years, no enemy had ever crossed it. The Council believed it was impossible to destroy. Captain Vale smiled. Then today, history changes. Light years away, inside Fortress Omega, Commander Zirin watched the incoming sensor data with complete confidence. "A few human ships?" He laughed. "So this is Earth's mighty fleet?" His officers laughed with him. One technician interrupted. "Sir, long-range scanners are detecting unusual gravitational disturbances." Zirin frowned. "How many ships?" The technician hesitated. "Our scanners cannot calculate the number." The room became quiet. Another alarm sounded. Then another. Suddenly, every radar screen turned white. One officer shouted, "Unknown fleet exiting hyperspace." Outside the station, space itself began to tear apart. Blue energy cracks spread across the darkness. 1, 10, 100, 1,000. Then millions of human warships appeared. Rows upon rows of destroyers, cruisers, carriers, drones, and battleships stretched farther than any sensor could measure. Behind them, a shadow emerged. At first it looked like another moon. Then it moved. The Titan. Its enormous engines illuminated the entire sector. The alien crews froze. One whisper echoed through command center. "Impossible." Captain Vale looked at the enemy fortress. Open communication. A transmission reached Fortress Omega. Captain Vale appeared on every screen. "You have one chance. Surrender your weapons. Evacuate your civilians. We do not seek unnecessary deaths." Commander Zirin burst into laughter. "You humans think numbers will save you?" He slammed his fist onto the console. "Destroy them." Thousands of alien cannons fired simultaneously. Brilliant beams of plasma filled the darkness. The first wave struck humanity's front line. The explosions lit the void. When the smoke cleared, every human ship was still there. Not one had been destroyed. Their new generation energy shields had absorbed everything. Silence filled the alien command center. Captain Vale calmly spoke one sentence. "Our turn." The Titan's primary cannon slowly charged. Blue energy gathered inside a weapon nearly 20 kilometers long. Power levels climbed higher. 10%, 30%, 60%, 100%. Every nearby ship received an automatic warning. Gravity distortion detected. Captain Vale lowered his hand. Fire. A beam of pure white energy erupted from the Titan. It crossed space in less than a second. Fortress Omega's shields activated. For exactly 3 seconds. They held. Then they shattered. The beam punched through the station, through its reactor, through its command center, and out the other side. The gigantic fortress split into 2 burning pieces before exploding into a cloud of blue fire. Shock waves rippled across the battlefield. 50,000 alien warships immediately lost command. Panic spread through their formation. Human fleets advanced. Precision strikes disabled engines and weapons. Within minutes, the Council's greatest border fortress had fallen. Back inside the Galactic Council, emergency reports flooded the chamber. Fortress Omega destroyed. Border fleet eliminated. Survivors requesting evacuation. Chairman Vorike stared at the screen in disbelief. "No! This cannot be happening." An elderly military advisor quietly replied, "We never fought humanity. We only judged them." The chairman slowly looked toward the star map. One after another, human fleet icons continued moving deeper into Council territory. For the first time in centuries, the rulers of the galaxy understood a terrifying truth. Earth had not started this war to survive. Earth had started it to win. The destruction of Fortress Omega sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For 400 years, Omega had been considered indestructible. Entire civilizations had built their security around the belief that no enemy could ever break through its defenses. Now, it was nothing more than burning debris drifting through space. News spread faster than light. Millions of civilians watched the footage in disbelief. The same humanity that had once been mocked as primitive had destroyed the Council's strongest fortress in less than 10 minutes. Fear began replacing laughter. Inside the Galactic Council's emergency war chamber, every seat was occupied. No one smiled anymore. Chairman Vorike stood before a massive holographic map of the galaxy. Red warning icons flashed everywhere. Report. A nervous intelligence officer stepped forward. Human fleets have captured 7 border systems. Communication with 12 military outposts has been lost. Our supply routes have been cut. Another officer interrupted. More than 100,000 Council warships have either surrendered or retreated. The room fell silent. Vorike clenched his fists. "Where's the Imperial Grand Fleet?" An admiral answered, "They are gathering near the Orion Corridor. Estimated arrival, 22 hours. Vorike nodded slowly. "Good. Once the Grand Fleet arrives, this war ends. But deep inside, even he no longer believed those words. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the Titan Valiant, Captain Marcus Vale watched the same star map. Unlike the Council, human commanders weren't celebrating. Every movement was precise. Every battle had been planned years in advance. General Amelia Hayes appeared on the main holographic screen. Status. Marcus answered calmly. Phase 1 is complete. Enemy border defenses have collapsed. What about civilian casualties? Minimal. We evacuated every station before firing. General Hayes smiled. Good. We are not here to conquer innocent worlds. We are here to end an empire built on fear. The transmission ended. Marcus looked toward the stars. He remembered something his father had once told him. The greatest victory isn't destroying your enemy. It's proving you were never the monster they believed you to be. Far away, on the peaceful planet Aurelia, millions of alien civilians gathered around giant public screens. Children, families, workers. Everyone expected terrifying images of savage human invaders. Instead, they watched something completely unexpected. Human soldiers helping injured civilians. Medical ships treating alien children. Engineers restoring damaged power stations. Food supplies being distributed without asking for anything in return. A little alien girl looked at a human medic. You aren't here to hurt us? The soldier smiled. No, we're here because your leader started a war. You didn't. The child slowly reached out and held his hand. News drones recorded everything. Within hours, the entire galaxy saw the truth. Humanity wasn't destroying civilizations. Humanity was protecting them. Support for the Galactic Council began to collapse. Entire planets demanded peace. Military commanders questioned their orders. Some even refused to fight. Back on Earth, President Elias Morgan addressed every human citizen. His speech was broadcast across the solar system. My fellow citizens, for generations we dreamed of joining the galaxy as equals. We offered friendship. They answered with arrogance. We offered peace. They answered with insults. We offered cooperation. They answered with threats. He paused. But remember this. We do not fight because we hate. We fight so that no civilization will ever again suffer under tyranny. Millions of people stood in silence. Factories continued building ships. Scientists continued developing new technology. Volunteers lined up to serve, not because they wanted war, but because they believed the future of humanity depended on it. At the edge of known space, long-range sensors suddenly detected something enormous. An officer rushed toward Captain Marcus Vale. Sir, we found them. The Imperial Grand Fleet. The holographic display lit up. Hundreds of thousands of enemy warships emerged from hyperspace. Then millions more. At their center floated a colossal flagship, nearly 50 kilometers long. Its weapons alone were larger than most human cruisers. Captain Vale stared at the screen. Finally, a worthy opponent. He looked at his officers. No retreat. No fear. Tomorrow, the galaxy will witness the largest space battle in history. Every officer stood. Every voice echoed together. For humanity, far beyond the stars. Two of the greatest fleets ever assembled were now on a collision course. The fate of the galaxy would be decided in the battle to come. The stars above the Orion corridor disappeared beneath an ocean of warships. It was a sight no living being had ever witnessed. On one side stood the Imperial Grand Fleet, over 5 million warships from the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Their colossal flagship, the Dominion, stretched across space like a floating continent, surrounded by endless ranks of battleships, carriers, and heavy cruisers. On the other side, humanity, nearly 3 million warships formed perfect battle formations. Behind them, the 12 legendary Titan-class fortress ships drifted silently through the darkness. Neither fleet fired. Not yet. The silence itself was terrifying. Inside the Dominion, Supreme Admiral Kaler Voss stood before the bridge windows, watching the human fleet. So, these are the humans. Unlike the politicians of the Galactic Council, Kaler didn't laugh. He had spent his entire life studying war. And one thing troubled him. The humans showed no fear. A nervous officer approached. "Admiral, they're not moving." Kaler nodded slowly. "Because they don't need to. They're waiting for us to make the first mistake." Aboard the Titan Valiant, Captain Marcus Vale received a secure transmission from Earth. General Amelia Hayes appeared on the screen. "Our satellites confirm the enemy fleet is fully assembled." Marcus folded his hands behind his back. "Authorization?" General Hayes looked directly into his eyes. "You have permission for Operation Starfall." Every officer on the bridge exchanged glances. Operation Starfall, the most secret military strategy ever created. It had never been tested in battle. Until today. Across the human fleet, encrypted signals spread within seconds. Thousands of commanders received the same message. Starfall initiated. The formations began to shift. Alien commanders frowned. They're dividing their fleet. Are they retreating? Supreme Admiral Kaler narrowed his eyes. No, they're creating a trap. Before he could finish speaking, space itself twisted. Millions of tiny drones emerged from hidden compartments beneath human battleships. At first glance, they looked harmless, small, almost insignificant. Then every drone accelerated to impossible speed. Within seconds, entire clouds of drones surrounded the Imperial fleet. Alien gunners opened fire. Thousands exploded, but millions more kept coming. Impact in 5 seconds. The bridge of the Dominion erupted with alarms. The drones didn't fire lasers. They didn't launch missiles. Instead, they attached themselves to enemy hulls. 1, 10, hundreds, thousands. Then, every drone emitted a powerful electromagnetic pulse. Across the Imperial fleet, weapons shut down. Shield generators collapsed. Navigation systems failed. Entire battleships drifted helplessly through space. Panic spread instantly. Our shields are gone. We've lost engine control. Communications offline. The impossible had happened. The strongest fleet in the galaxy had been crippled without losing a single human battleship. Captain Marcus Vale raised his hand. All fleets, advance. Millions of human ships surged forward. Railguns thundered across the void. Hypersonic missiles streaked through space. Blue plasma beams tore across enemy formations. Unlike the chaotic alien response, every human attack was perfectly synchronized. Artificial intelligence calculated every shot, every movement, every target. Enemy cruisers exploded one after another. Carriers drifted powerless before being boarded by human marines. Within minutes, the Imperial fleet had lost over 300,000 warships. Supreme Admiral Kaler gripped the edge of his command console. "This is impossible," his tactical officer whispered. "They're predicting our every move." Kaler stared at the battlefield. Finally, he understood. The humans hadn't spent 80 years simply building ships. They had spent 80 years studying every battle ever fought in the galaxy, every strategy, every weakness, every mistake. And today, they were using all of it. Suddenly, a massive explosion illuminated the battlefield. One of the Titan-class ships fired its primary cannon. The beam carved through dozens of enemy battleships before striking a heavy carrier, splitting it cleanly in half. Shockwaves rolled across the battlefield. Alien morale collapsed. Some ships surrendered. Others attempted to flee. But the Orion corridor had become a prison. There was no escape. Captain Marcus Vale looked across the burning battlefield. This battle ends today. But before he could give the final order, an emergency transmission arrived from Earth's Deep Space Command. The officer's face was pale. "Captain, we detected something." Marcus frowned. "What is it?" The officer swallowed hard. "A fleet, even larger than the Imperial Grand Fleet. It's entering the galaxy." The bridge fell silent. Every human officer turned toward the screen. Far beyond the edge of known space, thousands of new hyperspace portals began opening. 1, 100, 1,000, then millions. An unknown civilization had arrived, and they had been watching the entire war.